We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Some of it you gon' like, some of it you ain't. Tired of hearing fools complaining in barber chairs and beauty shops.
We'll get to the promised land.
This is Truf Brothers Radio.
Fucking neighborhood.
Must have spent 35, 45,000 up in Tiffany. Oh, no. Badass kids running around my whole crib like it's Chuck E. Cheese. I'm in disbelief. The other night she was gripping on me, trying to give me Hercules. What you doing that to me, girl?
If you're not listening to the Truf Brothers, Truf TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get
Truf Brothers TV. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Chuck E. Cheese edition of Truf Brothers. I'm Ray. Well, and that guy is Devon. Here we go.
You know you guys are going to hell, right? I just wanted to make sure you understood that you're going to hell.
I swear to God,
Normally I would watch, and then I thought, no, let this be a surprise. And that's what I got. Have a good show, y'all.
I wanted to
Damn.
Yeah.
We got
welcome to a justified edition of Truf Brothers. Everybody do our customary weekly check-in. Let us know you're out there doing well and watching the show. And anybody, your comments are welcome. All comments are welcome. All opinions are welcome. And if you really feel like you got something special to say, we can put you on and you can speak your piece. What's up, Jacqueline? What's going on, sir?
Hey, we got you in the intro, Charles.
We see you, yeah.
My bad. We got you in the
Chris,
intro, man.
Look here.
Hey, Chris is my guy. Hey, Chris is my dude. Hey, hey, Chris, you all right with me, man? You all right with me? He know. Chris is cool,
right,
people.
Man. So what's going on? How was your week?
Oh man, my week is cool. Just regular old work, getting things together, preparing for the week for the show. I'm sorry, I got to get my head back together, but I'm good. I'm good, man. Life is good. We good. Cool. Everything's straight. But no, man, we had life can't complain. What about you, man?
Let me tell you. This
got me smoking out the window.
Got me smoking out the window with lies. No. Fucking hey, Diva. No, man. The week was good. The week started off with the memorial service for my aunt, man, and that was real. That was real touching. And the rest of the week, man, has been pretty good, man. There's been no complaints whatsoever, man. So yeah, no complaints, man. Ready to do the show. Look forward to doing the show. We've been back for a year. We didn't even make an acknowledgement of it.
You know what? I didn't, because we didn't actually bring our show back.
This is true.
We were back.
This is true.
We didn't actually bring Truf Brothers back until December. I think it was early December, end of November. Right. So we came back and we were doing something, but yeah, sorry y'all. I mean, we're still I'm still recovering from the intro. Sorry. And this is a serious topic, and we're gonna December. I thought it was something like that.
Before we get into that, have you that video? Everybody's talking about that video, but I've never seen that version, the short burst version of it. Because I was like, who is that dude? And that dude looked like the way he would talk.
Yo, look, if y'all are gonna learn to catch the beginning of these shows and get our intro.
Yeah,
y'all are gonna learn.
Because
man,
keep coming in late.
Man, that was
a little,
me
a
out,
lot.
Bro. Because I actually saw. Go ahead, Tony. Why not? I don't care. We gonna get serious anyway, Tony. So go ahead.
She finna do it again. Don't do it again.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Some of it you gon' like, some of it you ain't. Tired of hearing fools complaining in barber chairs and beauty shops.
We'll get to the promised land.
This is Truth Brothers Radio.
Fuck your neighborhood. Must have spent 45,000 up in Tiffany. Oh no! Badass kids running around my whole crib like it's Chuck E. Cheese. Whoa, can't believe it. I'm in disbelief. This bitch got me man around. The other night she was gripping on me tight, screaming Hercules. What you doing this to me, girl?
Oh,
okay. We gotta jump into.
Look, we got a special show for you guys, and we are going to get into a heavy topic, so we need these laughs. But we also brought with us a special guest, a surprise for you guys. She was the director of media affairs for Truth Brothers Radio. She is our fantastic. She done so much for us, man. Again, we never would have got the Rakim interview if it wasn't for her. Right. And she's awesome. So everybody give it up for Pepper Potts.
Hey.
Yeah.
What's up?
Hercules.
This is what happens when I get in the room with y'all.
Okay. All right, man.
Yeah, that happened.
That was not good because we really got a real heavy topic, man. And I figured that with everything we got going on in this case, and even with the other case that's happening as well, it's best for us to get in the lighter spirit because it's easy to get highly pissed off. Watching
a couple of weeks, it could get that way.
Yeah, it's very, very easy, and I know we use laughter as a drug a lot of the time to mask a lot of things, and in this case, we talked about it, I think, a couple of weeks ago when we were saying, like, don't be surprised if you don't get what you think you're going to get. Because honestly, I don't think the people are going to get what you think you're going to get.
That's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the show today, because it's in the hands of the jury. It's going to come down any day now. I'm predicting kind of like Monday myself. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you're going to get what you think you're going to get. And then we can always go back to this show, look at it, and see if we were right or not. Really would hope that we're wrong, but I don't see good things happening here.
Yeah. The thing about it is there's been nothing to get me to believe that it should go this way. I mean,
no.
I've been watching the trial as much as I possibly can when I have the time, and when I don't, I try to catch the YouTube replay of it. Okay. And one thing I'm gonna say is this judge Schroeder, Bruce Schroeder.
This judge got us fucked up.
Yeah, like he's a motherfucker. He really is.
He's a real piece of work.
He is
He's a real piece of work.
I've never seen a judge that doesn't listen to the prosecution. I've never seen a judge that whenever the prosecution talks, he's like not in tune with the case. He's more or less
almost seems irritated.
Right. And
almost seems irritated.
I've never seen a judge seem like he picked a side before anything. It's like it's almost to a point where he had already determined who he was siding with, though they're supposed to be biased. It's almost like he picked a side before he was actually able to hear anything. And that's like, and I'm always going to get deeper into it, but that's kind of where I wanted to start off with the judge himself.
Okay. Is it me, or does it seem like the judge come off like that's his son on trial?
Yeah. He does give, like,
I can see that as well from some things that I was some videos that I was watching. But we do know this is a Democratic judge. He was voted in by the Democrats. In a red state.
And real quick, Pep, but right now, does being a Democrat really matter right now?
Yeah.
No.
So I just want to say that. I'm sorry, Pep. Go ahead.
I don't think so. I don't think it does. I wonder if he's irritated by the prosecution's lack of actually presenting the case. Because the prosecution...
No, I think he's irritated by the prosecution actually trying to present a case. I mean, he did everything he could to hamstring him. I have a problem with... I've never heard of a man being on trial for murder of two people harming another one, and the two deceased people and the dude that's been shot can't be called victims. Don't call them victims. But you can call them looters. You can call them rioters, though they didn't loot anything.
Well,
they didn't burn anything.
Well, they do that in cases, and I have personal history with a case. They did that in my brother's murder case. Okay. And it was the same thing. The person claimed, "I fear for my life." And the judge, because of my brother's background, refused to call him a victim.
And I'm not trying to cut you off, Pep, but I wanted to make a statement really quickly. when it's almost, I find it funny where, in your case, you said they brought up the brother's back. Because of his background, he's brought up this. But when the prosecution attempts to bring up Rittenhouse's background, as far as like with the guns and everything, he says we're not bringing that up because I don't see the relevance. That's what bothers me. When Rittenhouse said, "I wish I had my gun here," 2 weeks before he went to Kenosha to do the shootings, he had got into it with somebody, and he kept saying he wished he had his gun, and the judge pretty much was like, excuse me, the judge was like, "I don't see the relevance," when the prosecution is like, "I'm trying to say that this man, he has a killer's mentality, so to speak, and he was in a
gun makes him courageous.
Right.
He's a punk motherfucker until he got a gun. Then he's a tough guy. He has that false tough guy mentality, like most of them who love to carry a gun. Remember, a lot of them who carry a gun carry that because they're not going to do nothing with these hands. They're not going to do nothing. A gun makes you instantly dangerous. That's why they call it the great equalizer, because it will take the weakest person and make them feel like they are super strong, like they're invincible, because they can take a life with a
Well,
squeeze
you
of
saw
a trigger.
that. You see that with the way people who claim militia try to use the Second Amendment, because they actually don't ever use it as it's fully quoted. They always go to the preamble where I have the right to bear arms, which you don't mention the whole part where you have the right to bear arms, but if the governor decides that they're going to overthrow the government and needs a militia, that's when you have that. They don't ever quote that part,
right,
because it doesn't serve their argument. So I can understand that.
And my problem is you don't want to call them victims. I understand. You didn't say, well, okay, we'll call them protesters. You said we can call them rioters or looters, though the three people didn't do any of that.
Well, one, we don't know if those people, because the one gentleman, Rosenbaum, I think the point was to dehumanize the victims. We'll call them victims. It was to dehumanize them, because you have this young baby face person, and allegedly he was going to Kenosha because he worked in the community and he had family in the community, and he was just going to protect property. So
did Target call him and say, come help us out? Did Target call any of them? Did the gas station call any of them and say, hey, yeah, we're going to need y'all help down here? That's not your job.
That's one of the things. And also, when is deadly force needed to protect property? Like, my thing where I'm asking is, you went at this guy, whoever you shot at, you shot with deadly force. You shot to kill. So, one, like bro said, who called you up there to go to
well, there was a Facebook post made by one of the members of, I forget the group, it eludes me now.
Militia.
Yes, that call to action these people to come protect.
Yes, that guy is a former military, former Afghanistan military guy, but his call to action was him exercising his Second Amendment rights. Again, no property owner called him to action to come there.
Right.
They wanted to go there to be provocateurs. Now, in their defense, they had more discipline than Rittenhouse did, but you created a recipe for disaster. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper and say that they were in planned cahoots with the police on that, because as they were breaking up the crowd, the police intentionally herded the crowd into the waiting arms of the militia, hoping that something would pop off. One of the cops told him that. They were sitting there saying, yeah, this is the plan. They're going to herd these guys down to us. So that was the intention the entire time. See, everybody want to talk about their rights, but when you're picking what rights you want to respect and who rights you want to trample, that's where the problem comes into play. Because even though that dude made a call to arms, he did not ask for an underage child to take an illegal weapon across state to go hang out with them.
Right. And I think I saw an interview with him recently where he even admits that Kyle Rittenhouse looked too young to be there.
Yes.
And he looked ill-equipped from the guys that he was used to organizing, which were former military people or people who had experience with guns and with doing these type of protests or intervene.
And also he also said that some of the guys that showed up didn't have the discipline or the training we had, but hey, the more the merrier. The more of us it is, the better protected we are. You didn't have to be down there, and then you wouldn't have to be protected.
Right.
If you wanted to sit there and say you were protecting property, then sit along the perimeter, hold your ground, keep your weapons down low, and just continue to mind your business.
Right.
But a lot of those were Boogaloo Boys. A lot of those were Proud Boys, and a lot of those was just the white supremacists. Look, let's not get anything twisted. Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist. He has been seen many times flashing their little white supremacist gang sign.
Yeah. After
numerous occasions.
Yeah, after the incident, but you would even say, like, with this generation or a generation raised on Grand Theft Auto, he had a fake sense of bravado. He went down there knowing to provoke something. It wasn't, I don't think it was to help.
No part of that was to help.
Hear from y'all out there. We want y'all opinions too. Y'all being awfully quiet.
No part of that was to actually help. I mean, you went down there. I think he had 13, whatever he had loaded into the pistol. I mean, into
30
his rifle.
rounds.
Yeah.
30 rounds.
And what I said, 13, I meant to say 30. I'm sorry. And you went down there with the intent to do what? You went down there with the intent to shoot somebody.
Yeah, you're 17. What were you protecting? What were you doing? Nobody asked. And what parent let their kid go there? Like, boy, you 17. What do you think you're gonna do? Sit your butt down.
Now, I do think, like, the earlier, like, I watched his testimony earlier, and he claims that he was there. Well, he was there earlier in the day, removing graffiti, doing things like that, which he was serving his community, which I would understand that. But
no, that's the front.
Yeah.
He also said he was there to serve as an EMT and to help people with no medical equipment.
And you carried a bulletproof vest as well. And you brought a bulletproof vest.
You came looking for smoke more than you came to clean graffiti.
Right.
You came looking for smoke.
And that's actually what's going to make this situation a lot more difficult, because if you get it, the logical person is going to say he went down, he crossed state lines, he went up there with a gun to defend property that was not his, and he shot people. I don't understand that. Now, logic says, all right, if Kyle Rittenhouse was black, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even need to finish that conversation. But here's the problem that we're having, is that why can't the same rules apply to him? That's all I'm asking.
It doesn't matter when you're racist. Principle doesn't matter in America. That's a false front.
Well,
let's do as I say, not as I do.
Let's kind of be selective and careful with that. Because that's the one thing that I've noticed in this trial. It's not being held to a legal standard. It's actually being held in a court of opinion where logic is all out of the window. Like, let's play devil's advocate. We can talk about, like, we can even get into the victims, because I'll call them victims because they lost their lives. But Rosenbaum, like, his character, things about his character came out that aren't so flattering. He made several threats. I've seen videos of him where he does not seem like he was out there supporting Black Lives Matter, especially with the excessive use of the N-word. Now, you wasn't out there.
Rosenbaum was known to have mental issues. He had recently just got out of the hospital
that same day
with an episode. He wasn't again. Yes, you're right. He wasn't there really for the protest. But here's the difference. He lived in the neighborhood. That was his area. You're down there as a militia inciting the crowd. He gets caught up into it, and then he started tough manning them. I've seen some of that stuff too. Now, the military dudes, they had enough discipline not to take the bait.
Right.
Rittenhouse, it is a set of difficult circumstances, which is probably why he's going to get away with this, because there's one point where he started running. Rosenbaum chases him. Somebody else fires the first shot. Someone else fires a handgun, and that sets Rosenbaum off. And Rosenbaum comes at him. Rittenhouse turns and puts 3 rounds into him.
4.
I do see where 4 rounds. I do see where a kid with a weapon would anyone with a weapon would turn around and do that thinking that they were under attack. The problem is you're underage over there you shouldn't be there. The problem is the minute you cross state lines with that illegal weapon, you set a set of things in motion where that can happen. You were ill-equipped to handle these situations because you were too young to be in these situations. Well, if you notice, the militia never broke ranks. The militia never let themselves be isolated by a crowd because they were trying to keep themselves together so that they can better have command and control over their situation. Now, I'm not sitting there saying that they're right, but I'm seeing the military logic in that.
All right, let me read the comment real quick. In the last couple of years, lines have been drawn in the sand regarding war against Black people. White America refuses to adhere to justice for all. When it is presented and not in their favor, war is declared. I do agree with that. I do. I just think that a lot of times, though war is declared, our activity when it comes to that war isn't smart. We don't handle it in a way where it's strategic. It's an emotional reaction.
Well, you heard Dave Chappelle say that in his comedy show. Like, he wished that we would be more organized like other groups because they actually get things moving, and we don't as a group. Because this all started with the incident with Blake. And
we've been taught to just react. We're reactive. We're not proactive. And when we are trying to be proactive, it's turned upon in a certain light. Any group that's proactive, anybody that's an activist or is about the upliftment of their people, whether you agree with their politics or not, whether you agree with their religion or not, whether you might agree with their Afrocentric philosophy or not, the fact is they are actively trying to uplift people. Now, you may not like the way that they go about it, and you may not like the way that they handle money when it comes to some of these things, but we do tend to pick apart the people that are proactive. We are very, very selective about who we choose to back, and we like to back randomness. We like to back trends and fads because we are a trendy, fatty type nation. I ain't gonna even put it on Black people. America is a trendy type place. So we catch on to trends, and what's hot in the street is kind of what we go with. Black Lives Matter started off as a real good movement. It's now trendy, and now it's slowly being picked apart where it doesn't have the push that it used to have. It doesn't have the gravitas that it used to have, because now, like most trends, it's now if you're part of it, you're not in fashion anymore.
But to piggyback off what you said, Ray, that's one thing that we do face in America, even the way our news is reported. Remember, news used to be something that was sourced, like they would fact check. And now people, because we have such instant gratification, you get your news from Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or any one of the other social media platforms where that information isn't vetted anymore. Those sources aren't reliable, or they have not been fact checked. And I even have problems with that, with the reporting on this, because at first, when hearing about it, they never said that the victims were white, that he had shot these 3 white people. It was that there was the shooting after this Black Lives Matter protest due to what was happening with Blake, and because Kenosha was burning. So it was just misinformed, period.
Agreed. And part of my problem is, and it's been recently with Black people, I've seen some people that's asking, why should Black people care? It was 3 white people that got shot. And I think statements like that totally misses the point. Do you think that these 3 white people are not going to get justice because they're white? Do you think that? Or do you think that it's an underlying message that they are sending when it comes to us? If you support us, you get treated like us. If you're on the side of Black Lives Matter, we're going to treat you accordingly. We're going to treat you like nigga lovers. We're going to treat you like traitors to the cause. And this is a attitude that comes from the right, period. That again, if you're on that side, it don't matter that you're white. The fact is, you're not going to be seen as getting justice, because look at the rabble that you're running with.
Right.
Yeah,
again,
I can agree with that too.
The 99% movement, they wasted no time in trashing those, and those were their children, and they trashed them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and now my bad, I was having some sound issues, but I'm actually back, so everything is good. I mean, to go off what you just said, bro, I think that will they not get justice because they're white? I think that there is a thing of just white privilege altogether, and who they and I do agree with you as far as like they're looking at those people as you're siding with a certain group of people that we don't like. So I do understand that aspect of it, but that kid represents everything that America loves. He represents everything that he represents the young, gun-toting, I don't want to say the new wave of the white boy. That's what he represents.
Yes, white male. He represents young white male privilege. It is my inherent right to go and protect businesses from. And I think for the most part, Negroes.
I think for the most part, they're more willing to protect that and what that is versus the Black Lives Matter. It's like I'll rather protect America.
That's
right,
America.
That's what I'm saying. So
the 3 white people that got shot are not considered Americans. They're considered as cashing in their birthright to be hippies and protesters. But those gun-toting militia people, those are true Americans. Don't forget, this is the same time this was going on. They were up there in Portland protesting.
Yeah.
And again, we're not really in Portland. And Trump sent his crew up there, and they raised havoc in hell along with the government. And that was white on white crime.
I was actually in Portland during all this. So yeah, and it was amazing because you saw all of those people of non-color standing for, and it was just amazing. I would say that it was just amazing, and I think that was what was going on because I was on my way back when the things broke out in Kenosha with Kyle Rittenhouse. One thing that bothers me about this trial is that it's going to be based basically on political affiliation versus law, because legally,
and that's the way America is lining up. This is a polarized nation. I see a comment from, I think his name is Jordan.
I was actually getting ready to read it. Yeah, no. She said it was too long, but I was going to read it from my end.
Okay, read it out.
And go from there. It said, from Alan says, they are sending a serious message to America as a whole. What they are saying, we will not give up our privilege or our self-imposed entitlement.
Yes.
Our ability to create despair, nor will we relinquish our good complex. You can be black, but stay quiet. I totally agree with that. I believe.
Play devil's advocate on that. I'm not looking at this case from the political aspect. I'm looking, or racial. I'm looking at it like legally. So legally, to me, unfortunately, the first General Rosenbaum. Unfortunately, you advocated, unfortunately, for that to happen to you because you chased this man, you saw him with a gun, you tried to attack him unprovoked. He wasn't doing anything to provoke you to attack him. Now, the second victim, I find him as a hero because one, he was told that
everybody else was trying to stop an active shooter.
Right.
Okay. So here's the thing. I agree with that part of it. And like I said, I'm not saying, and this is going to sound a lot crazier than it's meant, but bear with me. I'm not saying every person that was shot did not need to be stopped. I'm not saying that. I'm saying who should have been in charge of stopping them. That's why there are police. That's why there are certain people who are designed to do that. You are not a vigilante. Technically you are. You went up there as a vigilante, and you're going to get rewarded for being a vigilante. And at that point, it's like, what does that say to that kid that's at home watching, saying, all right, the next time these looters take off, take y'all pistols and go out there and save our country. That's the problem I'm going to see, because if you don't have an example that you're setting with Kyle Rittenhouse. My bad, bro.
Here's the issue. When the police rolled by the militia and didn't disperse them and tell them to go home,
they actually gave them water.
Thank you, and gave them water. You gave them implicit permission to be there and to keep doing what they were doing, which emboldened the kid. And then the kid strays off away from his group, gets isolated, and bad things happen. The police is the ones that's responsible for setting all of this in motion.
And there are some lawsuits now filed against the chief of police, as well as some more departments that I've seen recently. Some lawsuits have been filed on behalf of the families against them for basically not doing their job.
Right. And that's cool, I guess. But they're going to get some smooth payoff like they do all the time. But real quick, I wanted to get to we did have one of those clips that I really wanted to get to. I think it was the third one. I think it was the third one. If that was the
give me yellow pants. Give me clip 3, Tony.
That he agreed with that person in the yellow pants, that he pointed the gun at him. He said, I was joking when I said that to the guy in the yellow pants, but he said, he's acknowledged that he told the person in the yellow pants, yeah, you're right. I did point a gun at you when you were sitting on a car.
He said, I did. That's what he
exactly.
testified.
So he's agreeing. May I finish, please? I'd like to have a chance to make a record if I could, without being interrupted, if that's okay. He has mentioned that he's acknowledged that he's used this gun to protect property. He's also just acknowledged that he knows he can't do that. I am attempting to impeach him now with the prior August 10th incident, 15 days prior, involving the same gun, where he is threatening to use that gun to protect property. It goes.
He had the gun with him.
Your Honor, he is saying he wished he did so he could shoot people.
You know, there's a lot of difference between commenting about something when you haven't got a gun and threatening someone when you do.
You know, it's interesting, Your Honor, because the entire defense theory in this case is Joseph Rosenbaum, who was unarmed.
I want you to tell me what the defense theory of the case is. I want.
May I respond to what you just said, Your Honor? I'd like to respond to what you just said. I apologize, Madam Court Reporter, but I'd like to try and make a record without anyone interrupting me, if that's okay. I believe that there is a central part of this case that Mr. Rosenbaum is making threats that he has no ability to carry out. So, to your point, Your Honor, you're arguing that this August 10th incident,
that cut off a little bit, but
yeah, and now we got the judge interrupting the guy. The guy can't make a point. I've never seen this before, especially from the prosecution, because usually the prosecution is the persecution. And
Lance Ito during the O.J. Simpson trial, as outlandish as he was, knew to shut up and let them actually present the case.
No doubt.
One thing that this just shows is, if I was a resident of Kenosha, I would really be mindful during the next election and pay attention to this judge, because that's not a sitting judge that you want presiding over cases. That just shows how unjust and unequal the legal system, or the system period, in Kenosha is.
You make a great point. And part of that is all these people who tell you that voting doesn't matter. Forget Kenosha. Here in Chicago, in Illinois, you vote on your judges. You vote on your judges, and 9 times out of 10, you'll go into that voting booth and won't know one from the other, and you're just randomly picking, and you wonder why you get what you get.
Yeah, I would tell people, and I just had the privilege to just have a great person that I knew that gave me some information, and y'all interviewed him, Ted. But he would always push people to go to ontheissues.org, and you can actually see the voting history and how these judges are presiding over cases. Like, so you can actually see this information so that you aren't going into these polling places uneducated and you just picking a name because, oh, that's Jones, I like that's my mama name, I'm gonna pick him, you know. So you are a little informed. So I would tell everybody to go to ontheissues.org so you can look these judges up.
Well,
that guy Jordan
we do got some comments,
and I really want to
we
hear
do got some comments coming in from YouTube as well. That cuts both ways. Kyle was hundreds of feet away from the police and running to them when the last 2 shootings happened. Okay,
no doubt. And what did the police do?
That's what I was about to say.
What did the police do? They waved him off and didn't arrest him. He gets arrested days later. All of this ain't on the boy. A lot of this is systemic to how bad the system is.
So he crossed back over state lines to turn himself into the Antioch Police Department in Illinois, not in Wisconsin anymore.
Right. And like you said, he ran to the police before the last 2 shootings hit, which means he was at the police before he started doing the last 2.
No, he did the last 2 and then ran to the police. Get this, if you look at the video, you have people in the crowd telling the police, hey man, he just shot people. He just shot people. And the police keep rolling.
He alleges in his testimony that he actually told a police officer, hey, I have just shot someone. And the police officer tells him, get the F out of here. Go home.
There was 2 comments where the person said the militia wasn't rioting. Then it said that they wasn't telling the peaceful protesters to go home, just the rioters. And what's that singer? Benger is just making up BA.
That might be the way you see it, and nobody said that the militia.
I mean, they're saying I think they meant to say he's making up BS.
Yeah, I mean, according to and I don't want to butcher it and say that.
I want to go into what he was just saying. I saw the federal rule for evidence 404. I did see that. The judge actually did mention it. He did make a ruling on that, but he said that Schroeder made a motion which he never did. He granted a motion for something, but he didn't grant the motion. Schroeder never asked for that motion. He asked for something else. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pep.
Yeah. And since we got some people in the house that's down like that. Since when do the defendants get to do lotto for jurors?
Yeah,
when did that become the thing to do?
Like, unfortunately, in my opinion, and I'm just a lay person and just a witness, just like everybody else watching this play out. But the prosecution is doing a piss poor job at presenting their case.
And isn't that usually the way that the prosecutors don't seem to be on their stuff when it's time for something like this? Trayvon's lawyers hella incompetent.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and then not to even know the law in your state that you're a prosecutor for, especially in regards to the gun charge, the weapons, because that was the main thing. The throwing out of the weapon, but
sure,
you can say that he was probably emboldened from a child. I ain't gonna put DC on the spot, but they called back.
And Mr. Texas, who's a lawyer, that is great. Explain. Please explain to us, and we're not being facetious. I want your opinion. How is it that a prosecutor can mess up when a child crosses state lines with a weapon and shoots people and gets to go home?
He worked in Kenosha, father, and the best friend were. I'm sorry, so I know these are coming in hot and heavy. He said, guys, he worked in Kenosha, and the father and the best friend lived there. He spent half his life in Kenosha. Crossing state line is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant if you didn't live there at the time of the shooting when you were brought up there to actually do the shooting or to protect something.
You left with an automatic weapon.
Well, I think it's irrelevant to the legality of it.
No, I'll give you that.
He wasn't going hunting.
No, because what people, let's play devil's advocate. What people were saying was that he wasn't a member of that community. And he's like, yes, I am a member of that community. I have family there. I work there. I travel there often. My sister's boyfriend lives there. So it is important to me that I protect
my parents live in Las Vegas. I'm not a member of that community.
I understand what you're saying, but he's saying that because he spends this time, that's irrelevant.
I spend time in Vegas. I'm not a member of that community. I'm a visitor from Chicago.
But he's arguing that he's invested in that community, not a member, but he's invested in the protection of that community.
And how is the judge quirky, but Binger is corrupt? That's why I'm like. I mean, and I'm just asking, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just curious, how can the judge be considered quirky, but
Dominic, in this dude's defense, they have said that he's quirky. That's how he's been labeled. And the lotto thing he's been doing for a hot minute, but it's on live TV now before the world, and people was like, yeah, that ain't cool.
And also, yes, Dominic had the gun. But Rittenhouse said that he paid Dominic to get the gun so that when he turned 18, because he's not 18, Dominic will give him the gun back. But he paid Dominic to get the gun for him.
Yeah,
and I thought secondhand gun purchases were illegal, or that just might be in Illinois.
So if that's the case, then why didn't the prosecutor charge Black? Why wasn't he charged as an accomplice or with delinquency of a minor? Because you illegally purchased a gun for a minor, which the minor said that this gun was purchased with my money for me. And although he had authorization to use it when they were supposed to be on like hunting or things of that nature, that was my whole thing. It was a lot of things that this prosecutor just did. Like he just didn't do his homework. It was like they picked him like he was asleep at the wheel. Like he basically just threw this trial away.
And to go back to
something wait. My question is, and for those guys, and I love you guys' comments. We're not, we love what you guys are saying. So I want to ask you guys this: if I buy a weapon for my underage cousin, and it's supposed to be for hunting, he goes to a club and he shoots somebody in the parking lot, am I not an accomplice?
Here's the thing with that. I believe that they thought it'd be easier to get a charge on Rittenhouse and then they could see what they could do with Dominic afterwards. I believe that was their tactic, or their strategy rather, was to do it that way. To go to something else really quick, I think I got this right within my head. I hope so. I think it was, what was clip 2, bro?
Clip 2 is remain silent. Play clip 2, Tony.
Yeah, I think that was
now,
the clip.
You are telling us your side of the story, correct?
Correct. I'm going to ask you folks to go in the library for just a second. Please don't talk about the case.
He's commenting on my client's right to remain silent.
No, Your Honor. I am making the point that after hearing everything in the case, now he's tailoring his story to what has already been introduced.
The problem is, this is a grave constitutional violation for you to talk about the defendant's silence. And that is, and you're right You're right on the borderline, and you may be over, but it better stop.
Understood.
I can't think of the case, the initial case on it, but this is not permitted. All right. Ask the jury to come in, please.
This is to go back to what the man was saying. I can't remember the guy, Jordan, Texas, I believe.
Jordan, Texas.
Saying, right. He's saying that he's violating certain rules, and I wanted to make sure I understand what Jordan's saying, but at the same time, when he's trying to get, every time he tries to get something out, he sends the jurors out. He did that. It's either twice or three times. That when he's going to a point, I understand that the judges want to say, you're violating this, you're doing this, you're doing that. But sometimes it's not even what he's violating. It's just to get into a point. The defense will object, he'll say, rule. But there's many times where Benga has tried to interject something. And that was in the only clip we got left. But there's been times when he's tried to interject something and the judge said, I'll let that one go. And I defy anybody to tell me or run me just two clips where the judge listened to anything that man objected to. Just run me two clips, because I got 4 of 5 of him just on the defense. Now for Jordan's case, he may have just became irritated with the prosecution's delivery, and at this point he just don't want to hear nothing he has to say. But that's emotional. And when you're a judge, you have to take your emotion out of the situation and preside on an even scale. But I think
Jordan's gonna have something to say about that. Every time he pulled the jury out, he felt that he was about to go out of line, and he didn't want to taint the jury to hear testimony that was not allowed. I think that's what he's probably going to say. But my question for Jordan and some of the other ones is, I've actually never heard of a case being this high profile and you don't sequester the jury. How is that?
Yeah, this case has been missed.
And I agree with you.
How are you not courting them off from the rest of the world? They're at home right now looking at anything they want to see that could be prejudiced to their judgment.
And Jordan, no, the judge cannot grant a mistrial for this. But you remember the defense said if something happens, he's going to request for a mistrial.
Well, so, we already have seen that since since it's in the jury's hands right now, like they caught reporters like chasing after like they had an NBC reporter like stalking a juror, end up at a juror's house or something like that. So that is surprisingly that they are.
And don't forget that there is a mistrial motion that's hanging over this that the judge is keeping in his pocket in case he wishes to use it.
Yeah. He says two very important reasons. First, the jury shouldn't hear it because it increases likelihood of a mistrial. Second, he doesn't want the jury to think he's an idiot. But you got to look at how he's
coming from with that.
No, but you got to also look at how he's talking to that man in front of the jury anyway. Every time he don't necessarily send them out of there.
Right.
He's talking. He's sending. The judge should have sequestered the jury 100%. The judge was so naive about how this was going to go down. I see that. I agree with that.
Not sequestering the jury. That's just I've never heard of that in such a high-profile case. This is a murder case. How do you not sequester the jury?
He says, I don't understand why they didn't sequester the jury. My bad, Tony. That one went by a little bit. Maybe because the trial is going longer than the sequester period.
No, that didn't stop OJ. Nah.
They didn't request mistrial for several reasons. The prosecutors are playing dirty. I promise y'all wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that. That ain't right.
Oh no, I feel you. We're usually on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally about to say
that is nothing new.
like the state's attorney or that prosecutor, if I were people who live there, I would really be mindful, because you vote on those officials, and I would vote them out of office. Like,
yeah, I guarantee you, if this goes the way they want, he's gonna win re-election quite easily.
And I was
There's
just about to
probably the judge, but not
Jordan says
the prosecutor. Look what happened with Kim Foxx in Illinois. Like, she
again,
barely
look at who Kim Foxx is advocating for.
Yeah,
she's not advocating for the crowd that wants this outcome that they're about to get. Kim Foxx actually went after a cop that murdered somebody. That's not normal. Kim Foxx garnered a lot of enemies doing what she did. Did her office mess up with Juicy Smollett? Yeah. I bet she wish she could take that back.
I was about to mention that, boy. But really quickly, it's two things. One, while we still got everything up, well, real quick, the comment that Jordan just made, I think he said he was old as hell. Didn't his phone go off while he was on the bench? And it was God Bless America or something like that? But that's neither here nor there.
It was something to that effect. But hey, he can love America. He can God bless America and still be fair. But that's just not what's happening.
But let's not act like these judges are so perfect and they we want that they're supposed to be unbiased.
Juicy did get lucky. No, you're right. Juicy did get lucky.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have to keep politics out of it. The law is sacred and has to be applied in the same way in every case.
Sacred.
The law is not sacred. And Jordan, man, I love what you're saying, but justice is far from blind.
Justice is very imbalanced.
Far from blind.
One other thing is, we're saying it should be applied the same way in every case. I don't necessarily believe that, because if a man commits murder for killing a woman, then he should get a certain thing. If a man commits murder for killing somebody while they're attacking his woman, I don't believe they should be viewed in the same cases. As far as saying the law needs to be the same way in every particular cases.
Yeah, but that's not what he's saying.
I know that's not what he's saying.
Right.
But what I was going to get to was the reason I was saying that. A lot of times when we look at case by case basis, if we're saying that if this case lined up right along the same lines as, for instance, a Trayvon case, if these were the exact same cases, it would be determined on where one person stayed. Like if he stayed in Florida, that stand your ground would not be the same as it would out in Montana or whatever. So each state has a different way that they rule based on where they live. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that it should be every case should be the same. I don't think that way, because there are nuances to everything.
If I was
the
prosecutor, I wouldn't have led with. Unfortunately, for the first victim, I would have kind of not led with him. I would have probably charged him with the murder of Huber, because Huber had been told that guy was an active shooter and he was doing something. The other guy, you kind of started that. Like, you chased that man.
And this dude got a point. Well, this person got a point. I can't tell by the name. It's a man or a woman. So this person's got a point. But the fact of the matter is, if you can show his state of mind that he's a dude with an itchy trigger finger, that he likes to talk smack, Kyle has a violent behavior. Kyle has a violent history. You easily could show how him going down there with this gun wasn't that he had a particular intent in mind, and that he had a defensive posture for things going down. That's why he went down there with a bulletproof vest.
Play devil's advocate to that. Really quickly, to play devil's advocate to that. The intent could have been, I'm going down there to protect my family's property or my people's property or my friend's property. That could have been from people who are potential threats to my people's property. That's why I have the gun. I'll give them that. I'm not even going to dispute that. No,
but
I mean,
but they all broke the law. They all broke the law when they, like, that Kenosha had a curfew, right?
Right.
So the curfew
They
wasn't
were actively
ordered.
enforcing. Yeah.
Well, they were
When you
actively
didn't
enforcing the
enforce the
curfew.
militia, you broke the law. When,
So
again, you want to say that you went down there to protect property. That's great. If we could have actually got into his history, he already had a weeks before saying, look at them looting that Target. Oh man, if I was there, I would have shot them. So that's how he intended on protecting property, by shooting people.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't feel sorry for Rosenbaum. Like, unfortunately, you shouldn't have lost your life, but you threw gas on that fire.
Yeah, it's a bad mix that started when the police did not disperse the militia as well as the crowd.
Kyle shouldn't have been there. One, he shouldn't have been there. And even the guy who made the Facebook post, his wife called him and he left.
Exactly, and that's the militia guy.
We agree with that. Here's the thing, really quickly, because I know Tony's in our ear too. But two things. One, I agree with Pep. There's a lot of things. I also, when the guy said, no, it was something else that Super KPL, I'm sorry, I think it's Super KPL said, but it was something along the lines of what did Cal do wrong? It was clearly self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily saying it was not self-defense. I can't say clearly. I can't say clearly it was self-defense.
If you incite a situation to which you have to defend yourself, that's not self-defense. The Ahmaud Arbery trial is proving that right now. If you incite a situation, you don't get to claim self-defense after the fact. And there's a lot of things, if the prosecutor was competent and had more leeway, that you could have got into to say that, yeah, he had an intent on what he thought protecting property was, and that would be to get violent.
Right.
Again, if that's the case, follow the discipline of the older militia and keep your mouth shut, stay with them, and don't provoke. I will give some of the militia they sat there and took some verbal abuse, but they didn't. That some of them didn't provoke. Some of them did say some off the wall shit, but for the most part, they kept their discipline. Follow suit, then Kyle. Follow suit. But he did a bunch of stuff that a child would do, which is why a child shouldn't have a weapon in this situation, in that environment. He made a lot of mistakes that only a child would make, because he shouldn't have been there to protect property. I'm sure that Target don't need a 17-year-old boy to protect them. That's what insurance is for.
Yeah, and all of these businesses, I'm sure they were well compensated for their loss of property if they had paid their insurance.
All right. Well, we have went over, and Tony is going to kill us. So thank y'all for Pep, first off, go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother.
No, first off, want to thank Pep again, because she always comes through in the clutch. Appreciate you, Pep. You are amazing, and we gotta hurry up and get you back on, because we got a bunch of stuff we got to sit back and talk to you about. So definitely got to get you back on soon. Also, Super K, I think it was Super K Pill and Jordan, Texas. Appreciate y'all coming in and giving that contrast and informing us of things. You know what I'm saying? It's always love, and it's you know what I appreciate most is being able to see a different point of view, and it doesn't have to go way off key, and you don't that's why we do this. It's because it's to show that people can have different
points. Nobody discounted what you were saying. We were appreciating you and was trying to give feedback with you. That's what these shows are about. So again, when we say all opinions are welcome, we mean that. You don't. Yeah. No one has to come on the show to agree with the Truf brothers. Not at all.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's a matter of the only way we're going to get a better understanding of where people are coming from is to have conversations like this, where it does not lead to where it has to be. It's argumentative. It's more of conversation. So I appreciate that. And like I said, we definitely appreciate y'all for coming out and taking the time. We want y'all to come back too. Also, we were instructed that next week the Truf brothers will not be back next week due to Thanksgiving holiday, so everybody enjoy your families.
Thanksgiving next week?
Enjoy it. Huh? Yeah, that's next week, man. Yes, sir.
It sure is.
So yeah, want everybody to enjoy y'all families and enjoy your time, man. Everybody be safe and man, stay healthy.
Hey, Jordan Super K Peel, thanks for showing up. And we appreciate you guys' comments. And now you know we want you to come back, but you got to learn that if you're not watching the Truth Brothers,
then the truth ain't in you.
Live long and prosper, people.
2 fingers.